Yeah, so I'm sure our viewers are glad they didn't have to go down this, 20-minute rabbit hole before before we started today.
So we don't say it on the podcast.
Oh, I just had to do some catching up. So yeah, sorry I was a little late today, but my glasses work now, so that's all that matters. Yeah, and I'm thinking about, because all it was the little screw on. What do you call this piece? Is that just the earpiece?
The bridge, and
I don't know the piece that connects to the front of your glasses with a little screw. The little screw fell out. Yeah. And I've just kind of been trying to keep it tight with my finger, and then this morning it just decided, nope, I'm popping out, and I don't have any time the rest of the week to get up there, and then they're closed Monday. So I didn't want to go a week without my glasses. I could wear my old glasses, but I don't want to go back to wearing the old ones and getting used to that, and then having to get used to the new ones again. Because my old ones I had for 4 years before I switched to these, and I kind of like these. It's weird because I did put those on this morning for about 10 minutes, and they're so much bigger. I hate them. I'm like, how did I wear these for 4 years?
Yeah, I only wore glasses when I was very young, and it was in an attempt to correct it, and I guess it worked, because ever since, when I go to an optometrist or get my yearly check at Walmart or whatever, stare at the chart and tell me, I've always done perfect.
Okay.
I 2020, and it's been that way. As I think I wore them when I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
So, and I hated them. I hated the glasses. I didn't like them on my face. I always would pick at them, itch at them. I hated them.
Hopefully your vision will stay good till you die.
Well, as an adult, I'm much better, because I didn't like sunglasses either. And so now I'll wear sunglasses, and when I was a kid, I was horrible. I'd fidget with them. Take them on, put them off, take them on, put them off, because they get annoying.
And that's a common thing with kids. Having worked with middle school kids, this one kid would break 4 or 5 pairs a year, and then one year he came back, he's like, Mrs. North, look at my glasses, and he starts twisting them. I'm like, what are you doing, trying to break your glasses? He's like, no, they're made like this, and they would. You could bend them, and they'd pop back into place. Yeah. I'm like, you should have had those years ago, dude.
Someone was thinking.
Yes. So, Connor, you recently went to the Greek festival.
I did. It was amazing.
Was it your first time?
I think yes and no. I believe I might have gone to that event when I was a teenager. Okay. I don't remember.
Okay.
It would have been for Multicultural Club or something I did for the high school, because we went to many, many events, and they kind of all meshed together in my mind now. we would go to Cinco de Mayo. We would go to Mrs. Sulu was really, really good in trying to hit up anything cultural, and we would go there. So we could have very well have gone to this, and I just don't remember. I don't remember it being this big, and I think the community center that it's in is fairly new. It looks new.
Yes.
So it wouldn't have been there when I was a teenager.
Yeah, no, it was not. It was early 2000s, I think, when Prairie Winds opened up.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe it could have been. It might have not have directly been, it's a community center from the get-go, too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thankful that it was. It was a nice day, but coming up there, I missed that. It was inside. I thought it was out on the street, like a normal festival or in a park. So I'm like, man, it's going to be hot, walking. It's like, okay, we'll do this. And we're in this nice air-conditioned community hall. It's huge, absolutely huge. I've never been in there before. I mean, it's very beautiful. And they had some going on in the outside and some going on in the inside, and just all this food that you could imagine. It was wonderful.
I unfortunately missed it this year.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't say anything till after the fact.
Yeah, I only forward all the emails to you about what's going on at Agate.
I didn't know. I didn't know. This was a double date that I was asked to almost on the day.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, by the way, we're going to this. Do you want to come? I was like, well, okay, I'll double date.
I should have known because I have written stories in the past about it, and I used to go all the time up until COVID, and then I kind of lost track of it. But we'll get to it here on this episode of Storytelling on the Plains. But it's held as close to August 15th as possible every year, and we'll get to why in a minute. But for some reason, that just kind of went out of my mind because I didn't go for 3 years because of COVID. And then last year, I saw an article after, and I was like, okay, I'll go next year. And then I completely forgot this year. So hopefully I will remember next year. And if I don't, I'll be sad. But I enjoy all aspects of the festival. And since you went, I thought you could chime in as we go along in the story and add some stuff to it. So today on Storytelling on the Plains, in case you hadn't
we're talking about the Greeks.
Figured it out, we're talking about the Greeks here in western Nebraska. It's a little confusing to some people because they live in Baird and Bridgeport. The church is in Baird,
yes.
But the festival is in Bridgeport because they needed a big place. And Baird is not a big enough town to have a facility to hold the number of people that come for this event.
Yeah.
And they also need for the Sunday, because it's a Saturday-Sunday thing, and for the stuff on Sunday, they need massive kitchens for what they do.
Well, I think they do dances too.
Yeah, there's a lot more dances on Sunday.
I unfortunately missed all that stuff.
Yeah. So Baird and Bridgeport are not even 10 minutes apart. I don't know.
Yeah, they're right next to each other.
They're really close to each other. And if you live in a big city, it would just be like driving across town. It just happens to be two separate towns here. So I do need to go a little bit back in history and onto the other end of the state in Omaha to kind of fill everybody in about the Greeks in the area. So the first Greeks in the state were in Omaha. They arrived in the 1870s to work on the railroads, and like many major towns, there were ethnic neighborhoods, and a Greek town had everything you could possibly want or need that was Greek-related. Greek town was in South Omaha, where many of the other immigrant communities were also located. And, if you go to New York City today, you can still go to Chinatown, and
although in Omaha, it seems to have meshed a lot more.
Yes.
It's not as, distinct, because going to college in Minneapolis is like that. They have very, very distinct neighborhoods with certain cultures and certain communities in each place.
Yeah, I know Omaha is the biggest city in the state, but they aren't. I don't know if it's just the people have meshed together better.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, it's just a mixing.
Yeah.
The suburbs started butting up against each other.
And if you go to places like Minneapolis, New York City, LA, people will complain about the gentrification of different areas because they're like, what? Where's Hispanic Harlem now? Because it got moved. Where's Black Harlem? And it moves and changes over time, but the core neighborhoods kind of stay in the same area. They just might not be as spread out or whatever. But in Omaha, it does seem like in the 120 some years, they've just blended in, become just your neighbor.
Because you have Old Town in Omaha, but there's really nothing to tie to it.
Yeah, it's just
called Old Town because there's bricks everywhere and old buildings.
Yeah, and that was the original part of downtown, if I remember correctly, and that's all it is. It doesn't even have. That's their cultural connection.
That's the cultural connection.
It doesn't have an ethnic connection there. So by 1900, many Greeks were in Omaha, where the meat packing industry was located. And by 1909, there were about 2,000 Greeks in South Omaha. So they first come for the railroad, and I'll talk about it a little bit more later. But just like the Japanese, they came for the railroad, and then when the railroad job is done,
where do you go?
And so In 1909, there were a series of strikes at the meatpacking plants as the workers were attempting to organize and unionize. And some of the Greeks stayed working the jobs that they had, and some of the Greeks were hired to be line breakers. And you and I know enough history. We know what happens to strike breakers.
Yeah.
It didn't go over too well with the folks that were striking, and eventually a mob attacked the entire Greek community, and most of the Greek immigrants fled Omaha. So I'm going to read from the Papist Post about what happened on February 21st, 1909, after an organized community-wide effort to burn down Greek homes and businesses engulfed the city. So yeah, they took this to the extreme. Normally you would just beat the crap out of the strike breakers and maybe kill them. Not that either is a good thing, but you didn't typically go burn an entire area of town down because of it. Because not all the Greeks were involved in it, but they all got labeled.
Yep.
So contrary to popular belief that Greek immigrants were welcomed with open arms and quickly assimilated into the fabric of American life, the native-born Americans not only found the Greeks to be taking American jobs, but also discovered the Greeks' behavior to be clannish, dangerous, immoral, and un-American.
Clannish.
And in 120 years... we're still using those terms. We just shift them over to a different group of people. Although we tend not to call people clannish anymore.
Although it's kind of interesting because the Greeks here in this community, clannish is not the right word, but it kind of is, at least in the sense that they are very close knit.
Yes.
And I guess that's a more appropriate word, not clannish, like a close knit community, meaning there's not a lot of outsiders that get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you marry into it.
Right. In the events that led to the anti-Greek riots, a Greek man was arrested for being in the company of an American woman. So here's your racism. While he was being apprehended and taken to the police station, he was involved in a deadly altercation with the police officer who arrested him. The chaos and destruction that followed, tens of millions of dollars in damage to property, and an entire ethnic community banished, disappeared, and fleeing for their lives overnight throughout the Midwest and mountain states, has gone down as one of the ugliest racist and discriminatory incidents in all of American history. John G. Bitzes, a history teacher at Bryan High School in Omaha, wrote an in-depth article in the Omaha Daily News about the Greeks. This was his summary, and I'm not sure when the Daily News ceased publication, but it was before 1950. The anti-Greek riot of 1909 in South Omaha and all its consequences presented another example of irrational human behavior. South Omaha was home to the packing industry, and the Greek immigrants provided a source of cheap labor. Resentment of their place in the local community, suspicion of their cultural differences, lack of involvement by local police, and yellow journalism contributed to the brief but deadly and destructive riot that took place within the span of less than 9 hours and resulted in a Greek flight from the community. The Omaha Bee captured the thoughts of an anti-Greek element when it concisely stated, "The thing that sticks in the craw of the anti-Greek element is that they work cheap, live even more cheaply in groups, are careless of many of the little details that Americans set much store by. Once in a while they are impudent, ignore the restrictions of American law that lay heavily on the true patriot. In short, do not mix, are not good fellows like the citizens we get from Northern Europe, for instance."
Good fellows.
Yeah.
The old term for good old boys.
Uh-huh. Joseph Polkar, editor of the Daily News, had this to say: "Their quarters have been unsanitary. They have insulted women. In other ways, they have made themselves offensive in the eyes of the great majority of the people of South Omaha, too. Herded together in lodging houses and living cheaply, Greeks are a menace to the American laboring man, just as the Japs, Italians, and other similar laborers
Jesus.
are.
If you ain't German, stay out of this place, man.
Yeah.
You ain't from, what, Germany or Ireland?
Yeah. No, even Ireland at this point in time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They didn't like us either.
Yeah, yeah. The Irish sucked. And I've got Irish, German, Dutch, English, and Native American ancestry, so I'm kind of screwed all around.
No, I have all my blood's European blood, largely Polish, German, Scandinavian, upper north. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's everybody hates everybody. Why can't we all just get along?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Especially out here, there's so much room.
Yeah.
Like, who cares if they're living cheaply?
Exactly.
It's people in Omaha acting like it's New York. Like, this is such a enclosed island of a place. Where else are we going to go?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I encourage you all to go read that Pappas Post article. It's really in-depth and fascinating. And it was several thousand words long. I think it was close to a 5,000-word article about this incident. That's how bad it was. I just included a few bits to provide some background about what happened and why they had to flee. And this was such a big deal and big news and a big disgrace to the area that articles in the New York Times were also run too. I came across some articles from the New York Times. Yeah. And, we're just doing Western Nebraska, but if you want to learn more about this, there are several in-depth stories in major publications at the time. So if you think back to 1909, you don't have your cell phone. So for this to get picked up, it was a big deal.
All the way in New York. Yeah.
Some of those immigrants likely came here to join the small band of groups that were all... I cannot talk today. So some of those immigrants came here to join the small band of Greeks that were already in this area. And they continued to work for the Union Pacific Railroad. The UP did what... I think they went, I think it was UP that went to Japan as well, because I haven't done all the research on the Japanese out here yet. But they went to Greece around 1900 to convince men to come and work to help build their railroad lines. They also did it in Japan. I don't have all of that knowledge yet on the Japanese bit. But for the Greeks, yes, they went there. They said, come here, you'll make quite a bit of money, and then you'll be able to go home and be a rich man. So many of them came into this area in 1905, and the biggest influx in our area was in 1919. So from 1905 to 1919, we had Greeks coming into this area, and they already have settled to some degree out here. So if you got to flee Omaha, you're probably going to come here because it's the next closest place. I know some settled in North Platte to help build the railroad as well, but some, came out here. Whether they stayed or not, I didn't do enough research on the entire history because, like everybody, a lot of people go home, some stay. So the railroad paid for the Greeks to travel to America, and the Greeks laid track from Nebraska to Billings, Montana, and many of them settled in large groups in Baird, Llewellyn, and North Platte. When the railroad was completed, there wasn't any more work, and you're out here in western Nebraska. So you can see how they were willing to work in the meat packing plants when all of that happened. It's not unsurprising. And a lot of them went back to Greece, and then those who stayed needed jobs. So some of them just were like, well, I came here to work on the railroad. Railroad's done. I'm going to go back home. I got my
money. I'm going back.
And then other folks were like, I like it here. I want to stay. But now I need a job if I'm going to stay. So if the ones that stayed in the Panhandle meant you were going to go into farming and ranching. That's your options out here. And if you look around the Baird area, you will recognize the names of the folks that stayed, and the Lapisotes are probably the most recognizable. I've interviewed Pete a few times, and he's very nice gentleman. The last time I was at the Greek festival, he took me out back where the dudes were cooking.
Yeah, and they were doing that out actually in front of the public this year.
Oh,
so it
nice.
wasn't actually behind. It was
Okay.
kind of around the corner of the community center, so you got to see what they were cooking and smell it.
Nice.
And so yeah, it was really, really cool.
But, so that's something that's changed since COVID, because before COVID they would do the cooking out back, and you had to be there with someone. And Pete got called away, and I forget the gentleman's name. He's like, "It's okay, you can stay. You're with me now." I'm like, "Okay." So in the past, it was a case of, you had to be special to go back there. And, come on, I was a journalist, so they let me back there to take some pictures.
Yeah, no,
But that's
cool.
awesome that it's
nice
out
that they
front
brought it
now.
out to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
I think I felt this year the inclusivity they were trying to promote was more of a thing.
Okay.
Again, I hadn't been to the previous one, but I felt very, very welcomed. They had I don't know what they would call a priest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're priests.
A priest, one of the highest priests. He was actually from Bridgeport.
Okay.
So he's an American that can talk very clearly to you, and you can understand him, and he can tell you what the Greek words mean, what they're saying, because a lot of the people at the festival have a very, very strong accent, and it unless you're really, and of course the babble of the crowd does not help, but like listening to them is very, very hard. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
And the thing that I found amazing is the folks that still have their Greek accents. They are thicker than my friend Evangelina, who is who is Greek, and I have stayed at her house in Greece. She and it's not that one speaks better English than the other. Her accent just isn't as thick. So I'd be curious as well if that has to do with different regions of the country you're from, because she's from up north.
It could be. It could also be just the community, because I mean, the Mennonite communities do that. Hutterites, Amish.
Yeah.
They all have their own form of like Dutch English or German English, and they are very, very strong when they speak normal English. Their accent is very, very strong.
Yeah. And it could be that's how strong the accent was when they came, so it stayed because they're the only ones around here speaking Greek.
Yep.
So that could be a case
and
too.
To keep your culture, you keep speaking the language, which I think is very fascinating, because there's so many pockets in America, little tiny communities that have done that from almost all over the world, from like Japan to Russia it's incredible how many things are around here.
There's a large Armenian community in Los Angeles, and Anna. Now I can't remember her last name. She's on the Young Turks. They were doing a debate one time, and they were talking about the Armenian genocide. And she was born and raised here. You would never know she could even speak another language. And this guy just started. He was a Turk, and he started insulting her in Armenian. And boom, she just flipped on a dime and just went off on him. And everybody was like, "Oh my God, she can speak Armenian," and it was pretty cool. But you do find those pockets everywhere across America, where I've had people most of my Greek friends, I can recognize their accent, but I've run in my Dutch friends, a couple of Dutch folks I just met randomly in the U.S., I would have said they were American because of their accent. But then, nope, they start speaking Dutch, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So I find it fascinating, and I think it enriches our country to have all these.
Oh, definitely. Even here in Scotts Bluff, it is amazing. Like the Greek festival that we're talking about, but even other people that come in during the summer, they're from all over the world. There's a group that are from Germany right now that are here working on the sugar factory. I think there's about 6 or 7 of them, and they're all. You can definitely tell they're German. Then they come in here, come to my the shop and ask for whatever, and they try to pay. They're either confused about the money, or they have to listen to me very carefully because I'm an American and I talk really fast. And usually they don't talk. And the first word out of their mouth, I catch the accent right away. It's like, oh, you're from Germany. And they look up, it's like, you speak German? And it's like, no, I don't speak it. I just recognize that you're from Germany because of your accent.
And because of the Germans from Russia that settled here, they do teach German in the high schools around here. So there are some folks that can speak German. And even up at the Extension Center for the university, they have folks from all over the world all year round. And I know for a fact right now there's 2 gentlemen from China, a gentleman from Taiwan, and their bosses from China. We're working on a project because the gentleman from Russia that was living with us, he was working with them. They were all working on this project together. And I know that they have folks from the Middle East come here. They've have had Afghanis here many times because the climate is similar. So they come here to learn how we're doing things so they can take it back and implement it. And they don't really have to adjust anything because the climates are similar.
Oh, yeah. I remember the teachers. When the teachers came, I think there were 7 or 8 female teachers, which is important to note just because, at the time, these women were just being now allowed to teach, period, because you couldn't be a teacher. It was a guy's job, I guess. But now that was during the first fall of the Taliban, and they were bringing all these women from Afghanistan, from Iran, from Iraq, and they would come, and I think they did like an internship because they were in the high schools. They were in our schools, like not teaching us, but like observing us. And I thought it was really fascinating.
Yeah, it's really cool. But back to the Greeks. So according to the article Greek History and Tradition by Morgan Wallace in the Star Herald, not all Greek immigrants worked for the railroad at this time. Some worked for sugar factories throughout the North Platte Valley, labored in fields, and some went into business. Those farms that were purchased once the immigrants were laid off have remained throughout the family generations after. So those folks labored in the fields, saved enough money to buy their own farms, and farms or ranches, and they still have them. The Lapisotes family is huge in ranching in this area, and they've just continued to grow. And we have one sugar factory here. We used to have several in the North Platte Valley, and they just eventually, slowly over time, got closed down to we just have one now.
Yeah, you can still see the skeletons of the others. They're the large, what's left of the factories and large smokestacks are still there.
Yep, and I know the one down in Gearing. They use it for storage.
They use it for like electronic and appliances and trucks, and the one in Mitchell is a granary.
Okay.
So they just keep grain out there.
And didn't Minutair have one? Am I wrong, or am I thinking Kelly Bean?
That's Kelly Bean.
Kelly Bean.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay. Bean. I don't think they ever had a sugar factory at Minutair. No.
Okay. So many of these Greek men eventually decided work wasn't enough, and they wanted to either marry or be reunited with their families. Single men often accepted arranged marriages from back home, and others went home to Greece to arrange for their families to come to the States. So some of them weren't single.
Yeah.
And they're like, I've been here for a while, I want to stay, but I want my family with me.
And arranged marriages in that culture, at least back then, were common, right?
Pretty much with everybody. The Japanese that decided to stay and wanted to be married, they had arranged marriages as well.
Even us Americans were doing it. Us colonists, or whatever you call us at the time.
Yeah.
I guess we won the revolution.
And I worked at a Nebraska bookstore from until 2000. I worked with a gentleman named Lee, and he was like 35, and his family's like, "You're getting too old, dude. You're getting too old. You got to get married. You got to get married." So they arranged for a marriage, and it seemed to be kind of going okay, but they arranged, and think about this. This guy is working in shipping and receiving at a bookstore, and his family is wealthy enough back home. They arrange a marriage to a model. It eventually did not work out. He went home, and his family did give him the option of backing out. On paper and sending letters to each other and occasional phone calls seemed to be okay. And then after 6 months, he was like, "I have to go home and meet her." And it didn't work out. They were just from two different worlds.
Yep.
And it didn't matter that his family had a bit of money to even have these connections. He was just like, "This is not going to work." And she insisted that if they got married, he was going to come back to China and she was going to keep her career. And he was like, "No, I'm happy. I'm happy where I'm at." He did eventually, he and the family worked together to find another lady. And he did eventually get married, and she came to the U.S. But he was not going back. He did not want to go back to China. He was happy living here. And at that time, he came for college, basically, and just never went back. He fell in love with America and just didn't want to go back.
There's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that do that.
So this was as late as 99, I think it was, when that all went down. And at least his family were willing, "Okay, that didn't work, but you're 37, you need to settle down." And I'm like, "Okay, but he's 37 and he cooks for himself, he cleans for himself,
does he need to settle down?
Yeah, he's fine as he is. He's not really interested in doing that, but there's that family pressure."
There is a family pressure.
Now, for these guys that already had families, I get it. They were probably away from them for a couple of years, and they're like, "I want my family back with me." So they went to Greece, arranged for their families to come to the States. And when those families arrived here in the North Platte Valley, Orthodox Christianity came with them. In Nebraska, they formed the Constitution of the Greek Orthodox Church Community Assumption of the Virgin Mary in 1925.
Also known as the GOCCACC.
Yeah, which is why we just call it the Greek Church. And the Theotokos Greek Orthodox Church in Baird was founded soon after. So they're part of that overreaching church founded in 25.
Yep.
And I'm going to read from the article Greeks in Nebraska, which I wrote and can be found on the Trails West website. Theotokos is a title of Mary, mother of Jesus, and has been in use since the 3rd century. It is generally translated as God-bearer or Mother of God in English. So if you go back to the name of the church and take Theotokos out.
Is it pronounced Theotokos?
I'm probably saying, you know what? Yeah, I have no idea because here in America we pronounce the city Thessaloniki.
Yeah.
It's Thessaloniki. And I learned that when I went to Greece, and my friend Eva, smacked me and was like, "What? Where are you going tomorrow?" I'm like, "We're going to Thessaloniki." "No, you're going to Thessaloniki." Okay.
I think it's pronounced Theotokos.
It probably is. I'll spell it for folks. Theotokos. I am probably pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
you're right. It's what is it? Now I'm trying to say it right and not say it wrong. Now I can't do it. I'm saying it wrong. It's Hercules, said the right way. And I'm just thinking of
Heracles?
There you go.
Yeah.
Heracles.
Yeah.
So if I say Heracles and you're in America, like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, Hercules.
Yeah. It's like in one of our previous episodes when we were talking about Sacagawea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not Sacagawea.
Americans say Sacagawea. That's how we pronounce it because we pronounce the J, and we forget that different languages have different pronunciations. And I've seen some of my Mexican friends, if they have a friend named Juanita, they'll give them crap sometimes when they're calling her, and they'll be like, Juanita,
Juanita.
because we usually pronounce the J, but it's a Y sound in Spanish. So I'm sure I screwed that up.
I could have screwed it up. I don't know. You might have been right.
Yeah, maybe we're both wrong.
Maybe we're both wrong. It's not pronounced like that at all.
Yeah, so someone will come in here and give us a Greek lesson. I did take Greek in college, but it was ancient Greek.
See, and I got into it when I was still a Baptist, because there was my pastor gave me a program that did the Latin and the Greek in the Bible.
Okay.
So I kind of got into Greek. And then I had a Russian girlfriend for a while. So and for those who don't know, Russia is one of those languages that's Greek-based, not Latin-based like Spanish. So that's why the letters are different.
Yeah, and they use the Russians use the Cyrillic alphabet. So
yeah.
And the Russians kind of stole letters from many different alphabets, so it's confusing. Yeah, and I took ancient Greek because I was a Christian at the time, and I was a big proponent of, if you're going to read your Bible, you need to read it in the original language. And I was like, I'll learn Greek, no big deal. And then when I'm done with that, I'll go learn Hebrew or Aramaic, because I guess the Bible was originally written in Aramaic, not Hebrew. Yeah, I failed spectacularly at that. I remember, 2 years of Greek. I remember ton plion, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong. It means the ship. I remember the word pios, which I am not going to translate, but y'all can guess. And beles karakos literally is translated to go to the crows, but it means go to hell. And I do not remember anything else from my
It's
Greek.
remarkable that we always remember the cuss words.
Yep. Yeah. And the naughty words, which was that second one, but y'all can guess what it is. Starts with the same first two letters. So anyway, the church has been a large part of the Greek community in Baird for nearly a century. One of the biggest holidays of the year is Dormition, which commemorates the death of Mary. So you're getting the whole Mary thing with the Greek Orthodox Church.
Yes, and just to be specific for those who don't know, Russian Orthodox is not Greek Orthodox.
Nope, they're different.
They're completely different. They don't even agree with each other. I believe they actually hate each other. But anyway,
yeah.
Typical Christian sect things. But for those who hear, because a lot of people's like the Orthodox Church, and then you're in Russia, it's like, well, the Orthodox Church in Russia is probably a Russian Orthodox Church.
Yes.
Whereas most other places in the world, they're Greek Orthodox. There are Russian Orthodox churches throughout the U.S. too, but not as many as the Greeks.
Yeah, the Greeks have way more than the because I don't think the Greeks ever went through that period of trying to suppress religion. Whereas
during the communist times, the church got put to heel, I guess is the word.
It's the most polite thing we can say.
They didn't get destroyed outright, but they were definitely forced to follow the communist line, which was largely anti-religious.
So I'm going to read from that Star Herald article again. Through the church, the Greeks have various holidays and traditions they celebrate. When a person is baptized, they are given the name of a saint or martyr. This person will then celebrate this day as their name day, which I always thought was kind of cool. You get your birthday and your name day. A name day is generally celebrated with large amounts of food and sweets and a larger celebration than a birthday. That sounds like us normal Americans. Hey, it's Tuesday, let's have a picnic.
Well, the Catholics do that.
Okay.
When you get christened.
Oh, that's what
a christening is usually.
Okay.
I think that's when you're given your name officially, or you're giving your name to Christ or something like that. But I believe a christening is considered your name day.
Or
Could be wrong on that.
Is it confirmation? I don't know.
Confirmation's later on.
Yeah, it's like when you're 10 or 11.
Yeah, no, the christening is like
A couple days after.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't follow up too much.
And they do the baptism during
Yeah.
the christening. You know, you just get the little water on the head, but I believe that also counts as your name day.
Okay. Easter, or Pascha, is also a large celebration in the church. Throughout the week, the church hosts a midnight service and multiple services leading up to Easter. The children in the church go hunting for red Easter eggs, which signifies the blood and resurrection of Jesus Christ.
There's actually very fun traditions about the red Easter eggs, because they did that up in Russia too.
Okay.
Fun fact that the dye that you used to dye the reds were largely onion peels and beet juice.
Okay. I was like, Connor, please don't go there, that it's really blood. Please don't go there.
No, they didn't. They didn't do that. Well, if you ever did do that, when the blood dries, it doesn't look red at all. I'm just kidding. How would I know that?
Oh, gosh.
No.
Yeah.
It's onions and beet juice.
Okay.
For those at home who want to do it the natural way, you don't have to go get food coloring. Just get beet juice and onion peels. There you go.
So families also have large feasts after they must fast from animal products during Lent.
Again, typical Catholic thing, too.
I remember in high school one time, I knew this girl, Teresa, and her brother went to school one Friday. Their mom forgot, made him a tuna sandwich, and he left it in his locker because he can't eat it because it's Friday. And in New York, school gets out like the last week, like somewhere around June 24th, 25th. So you're going from Easter till June. When he cleaned his locker out at the end of the year, it was awful. He was like, "Oh, this is why my locker smelled." I'm like, okay.
So gross.
And his mom just told him that if she ever did that again, just bring the sandwich home because you can eat it tomorrow.
True. And by the way, you are an evil SOB if you work at an office and microwave tuna. You're just evil. Tuna casserole.
Okay,
tuna
I'm evil.
Salmon, you're evil.
I'm evil. But you know what?
You stink up the entire office.
I did it on purpose. And
you did it on purpose, then you are evil.
And
you know it was bad.
And my coworkers approved. We had a coworker who hated tuna of any kind, even if you just had a plain old tuna sandwich, and would just complain all day long. And I had a tuna sandwich. I'm 2 tables away from this person, and this person just continued to complain and complain and complain. So that weekend, I made a tuna noodle casserole, and I brought it every day for lunch, and my coworkers thought it was hilarious, but I'm like, I probably should have been nicer. I probably wouldn't do it today. But
so
even back then, if you had just come and said, Irene, I really don't care for tuna, I wouldn't have been a jerk about it. I'd have been like, all right, I'll eat my tuna sandwich in the car, or I'll take my lunch earlier or later or
I don't
something.
care about, if you're not a fan of tuna fish salad, don't watch me eat.
Yeah.
Turn around. It's like,
but yeah, and every bite of my sandwich was not a joy because I got a complaint about, can't believe you're eating that. Well, it's my lunch.
Right. Who cares what I eat? What are you eating
so
I can pick on you?
Yeah, I don't complain about your 6,000 calorie drink from Starbucks, so leave me alone with my tuna sandwich. So yeah, I wasn't always the nice person people think I am. But yeah, I did that on purpose. And yeah, the entire break room stunk. It was pretty bad. So the Greek Orthodox Easter is not always celebrated at the same time as Christian Easter because Orthodox churches use the Julian calendar as opposed to the Gregorian calendar that Christians use. In 2016, the Gregorian Easter was in March, while the Julian Easter was in May. In 2017, the two were on the same day. I had written will be on the same day because I wrote this article in 2016.
And it was.
Yes, and it was. The holiday, the Dormition, or the Assumption of the Virgin Mary, is celebrated with the annual Greek festival in Bridgeport. This holiday commemorates the falling asleep or death of Theotokos, Is that how you said it?
Theotokos.
Theotokos, or the Virgin Mary. The Greek community in the Panhandle celebrates this holiday with the annual Greek festival in Bridgeport at the Prairie Winds Community Center. Because it is always on the 15th, the organizing group always attempts to plan the festival over the weekend as close to the holiday as possible.
Yeah, because unfortunately, that's the thing about get-togethers out here. You have to have them on the weekend because everybody else is working.
Yeah.
We got shit to do.
Yeah.
You can't go celebrate in the middle of the week.
And I would guess, I did not look deeper into this because I would have had to go to Baird and search through their archives and stuff, but I would guess when they first started doing this, they probably did have it on the 15th every year. And then when the 9 to 5 schedule became ingrained in this society, they were like, all right, let's have it as close to the 15th as we can. So Independence Day is also a large celebration within the church as they gained their freedom from the Ottoman Empire on March 25th, 1821. They believe their freedom and independence comes from God. So this is another celebration that they bring here.
They do.
They're all Americans, but if you guys really understood the Ottoman Empire, let them have their celebration, man. That was a huge, huge deal. That's the founding of their country.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they were born and raised here and they're 60-some years old. Let them have that day. You know, that's a big day to celebrate.
Well, and when you go to this festival, they have pictures from the years that they've done it. And a lot of those pictures are from these Independence Day festivals. So, yeah, it is actually really cool to see.
Yeah. And so the first Greek festival was held on August 15th, 1926. So my math says that next August is the 100th celebration, but when you go on the church's website, they have pictures from 2024 where they say was their 99th celebration, so 2025 was the 100th. I don't know.
Maybe it was their 100th and I just didn't know it. They didn't specifically say anything to the effect.
Yeah, I don't know, and I would think if they're doing the 100th next year, maybe it'll be a bigger deal. I don't know.
I know that the Greek Orthodox canonized someone this year. Saint Olga of Alaska was canonized under the Greek Church this year, and she was I shouldn't say she was there. A picture of her was there, of her icon. Okay. This is what they call the. If you go to a Greek church, you'll see a painting. Usually
on wood.
Yeah, yep. And it's usually kind of crude, but yeah.
Yeah. We have a few of those we brought back from Greece, and Paul would use them in his history class.
Yeah, I have a few myself.
Yeah, and we don't know what to do with them now because we're atheists, but we're like, we're not going to hang them up.
I still, Jason and I have so much between the two of us old religious paraphernalia.
Yeah.
From all over the world, from all over the cultures.
And you know, maybe one day I'll find somebody that I'll be like, that person would appreciate that.
Yeah, you never know.
It just hasn't happened. So I don't know if this year or next year was their 100th, but they've essentially been doing this for 100 years. The first one was a members-only lamb roast after church to celebrate the Dormition and to officially name their church. Naturally, with the passage of time, the event grew bigger. Neighbors wanted to know what the Greek food tasted like, so first a few friends and relatives joined in, then some more, then some more, then some more. And then by the time you hit the 21st century, the church isn't big enough to hold the event anymore. And that's where the Prairie Winds Community Center came into play. I can tell you, when I first moved here, I drove past Prairie Winds, and Prairie Winds is written bigger than Community Center, and so I'm driving past fast. So I saw Prairie Winds, and I thought it was a casino.
The Prairie Wind Casino.
Yeah, because
Not Nebraska.
Yeah, so I didn't understand why when I started at the Star Herald, they're like, yeah, you need to go down to Prairie Winds and talk to so and so. They're the director, and I'm like,
director of a casino.
Why does the director of the casino, have a book club? what?
No.
I didn't get it, but I did. I went online. It was like 2014, I think. I went online and did a search, and I'm like, oh, it's a big community center. Okay.
For those who don't know and aren't from Nebraska, we actually do have pretty strict gambling laws here.
Yeah.
You can do certain things. I think they've recently allowed they're called skill games.
Yeah.
Skills being in quotations.
Yes.
It's how fast you can hit the damn button. But that's about it. And of course they allow sports betting, but that's I think nationwide.
Yeah. And the Native Americans that don't live on the reservation are spread throughout the Panhandle. Mm-hmm. So it's not, we don't have a reservation out here. Whereas like back in New York, the one big casino is on, I think it's the Onondaga tribes and not the Oneida tribe. I think it's Onondaga that has the big casino up in upstate New York. And the casinos tend to be built on tribal land. And
it's like
out here, we don't have any of that.
Well, we have the Rosebud Casino. That's on tribal land, right across the borderline.
Yeah, but it's across the border.
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
right. It's
in
not
Nebraska.
Okay,
Yeah.
Technically not Nebraska.
Yeah.
Around here is not too
West,
far from here.
yeah.
Who's making these lines anyway?
I don't know. We're not good at drawing arbitrary lines on a map and telling people they need to stay in this place or that place. It doesn't work planet-wide when we do it. All it does is cause strife and aggravation. So an estimated 1,500 people from all over, including Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Denver, Colorado, come to take part in one of the biggest ethnic celebrations in the Panhandle. And those are just the two closest big cities to us, but they do come from all over the country because not everybody has stayed in the Baird area. I know one family that has 2 kids. One eventually moved back to work on the ranch, and I think she is going to take over. And then the other one is a jazz musician in Kansas City. So, I know that he comes for the event.
Yeah, and this place was packed. When I mean packed, I mean we had troubles finding a table packed.
Yes, and it's like that every year.
It's like that every year, yeah.
But where else are you going to hold it? Because even the community center down in Gearing isn't big enough for the event.
No, you'd have to do what I was thinking and make it like something like a street festival.
Yeah.
Kind of like what they do in Mitchell. But, you'd have to do something to that effect because I don't know.
Because it is huge, and when you know what Baird does Baird even have 1,000 people in the town? Or Bridgeport. There's not a lot of people there.
Bridgeport is a bit bigger than Baird.
Yeah, which is where the community center is. But, I mean, I don't know how you would do it. And Baird, I admit I don't know a lot about Baird, but the only big open space I can think of is the golf course, and you're not going to want a lot of people traipsing around that.
Yeah.
And the cemetery. And you don't want a lot of people traipsing around that either.
And around now, it is, around August 15th, it's almost vital that if you want people to stay and enjoy themselves, you have to have it inside.
Yeah.
It's either too hot or it's going to be raining.
Yeah.
The weather's not going to be on your side.
Yeah. What many people also don't know is that the members of the church are up at 3 a.m. Sunday morning getting ready for the Sunday dinner, which is typically a meal of fresh roast lamb, beef, Greek salad, Greek-style potatoes, spanakopita.
Spanakopita.
Thank you.
I just made that for my mother.
Okay.
For our Sunday dinners. She never had it before, and she thought it was like the best.
Nice.
Best in the world.
And those are spinach triangles, and
I didn't make them in triangles. Neither does the event. They actually do it traditionally like a casserole.
Yeah, that's just what it translates to. But I haven't ever eaten them in triangles either.
I have in the restaurant industry. In the restaurant industry, they are almost always in triangles. But traditionally, when a mom makes it, it's like a quiche dish.
Okay,
it's a casserole.
And I'm going to say it wrong, so correct me, Connor. Carythopeda?
I'm reading it like that too.
Okay. And
Carythopeda.
Carythopeda. Okay.
If you spanakopeda, maybe it'd be Carythopeda.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's where I'm getting. I don't know.
And that's just a kind of cake. They had rolls and drinks. So Sunday is a lot quieter for the meal, but they do have a lot of dancing afterwards, and you have to pay and reserve your spot like ahead of time. You can't just show up like on Saturday. Yeah, on Saturday you can just get in your car, go over to Prairie Winds Park, walk in, and you pay, and you get tickets. I'm like tokens. No, it's not tokens. They're little paper tickets. And it works great because if you use all your tickets, you go back to the folks with the money and you pay the money for the tickets, and then, okay, this thing is this many tickets. Mm-hmm. And it's not that hard of math. You can figure out how much money you're spending. But then the folks that are serving you don't have to go through that process, the food handling process of, I just touched money. I have to go wash my hands before I can touch your food. And with 1,500 people in like 12 hours.
It also localizes the money, so you don't have nobody doing something, like switching it or losing it or stealing it. Yeah.
So I remember the first time I went, I thought it was kind of silly, but then I'm like, I used to work in food service. This makes perfect sense why they're doing it this way. And then all the money is in one location. It's secure. It works out really, really good. So the Greeks will also display on Saturday night, and I believe they do it on Sunday too. Their traditional dances through the Athenian dancers, who are all church members aged 3 to 13, and they perform a variety of Greek dances in that traditional costume. Mm-hmm. And I have yet to see it because when I learned about the Greek festival, I was working at the Star Herald, and I had to be back so that I could write the story. So I had to leave before the dancers. And then I left the Star Herald in June of 2019, went to the festival in August, and I had to be at work that night, and I was already tired from not getting sleep because I was working night shift at the shelter, and I couldn't stay for the dancers because then I would have been awake for more than 24 hours by the time I was done with work. And then the next year was COVID, so I haven't made it to the dancers yet. I have seen pictures, and they're awesome.
I've seen the pictures, but no, I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
I'm also a little sad I didn't come from a church. I came from a church that didn't allow dancing.
Oh.
Like, dancing was the thing about, Baptists.
Yeah.
Baptists, the only thing they dance with are snakes, especially if you're a white Baptist group.
No.
And we were a very, very white Baptist group, so it wasn't even like a good old soul Southern Baptist church when you actually have some like good music and lots of clapping and hey hallelujahs, and nope. we sang our hymns, we sat on the pews, we got up, we left. We weren't even allowed to dance outside normally. It wasn't encouraged.
Dude.
And then you have places like this that actually their church groups teaches them cultural dances, which would have been pretty cool to do.
Mm-hmm.
Baptists have an interesting history, a German history, so they could have brought they could have done it. That could have gone through.
Yep.
I'm often remembered of Our Lady Guadalupe.
Oh,
they have cultural dances, and I had to learn one for a quinceañera that I was one of the I think they're called attendants. Mm-hmm. Her attendants. There's usually 7 girls, 7 guys, and then she makes 15. Yeah, she makes 15. Quinceañera, okay. 7 girls, 7 guys, and she's the 15th. And the 7 girls and the 7 guys do this very elaborate traditional dance. It's like a waltz. And just learning that was really, really cool and so much fun to do. And and go back to my church. It's like, open up the hymnal 2 page. All right, here we go.
And let's recite and chant.
Pretty much. I mean, we were very, very plain folk. We stripped everything away that was fun.
Oh, so if you attend on Saturday to the festival, you'll have the opportunity to try just about every traditional Greek food there is. They're made with family recipes passed down through the generations and across the seas into the local kitchens of Greek grandmothers and mothers. Mm-hmm. It's all as fresh as possible, and some of the Greek grandmothers, I know there was one that was like part of one of the original groups that came out here, but we're talking 7-8 years ago. So
okay. There was a lot of grandmas out there.
Yeah, and they spend hours making stuff. If you think about baklava, it's I had baklava there, really liked it. I bought it in the grocery store. It was garbage.
That spanakopita that I made it from scratch for my mom. And that took me 3 hours.
Yeah. So they get up in the middle of the night and make all of this stuff. And if I remember correctly, because it starts on Saturday, I think it's Wednesday they start making all the sweets and stuff.
Well, and that's why I wonder if they make their own phyllo dough. If they go that far into it, I mean, phyllo dough is a hell of a process in and of itself to do.
I know they used to. I'm not sure if they still do. But they used to. Yeah,
for those who don't know, phyllo dough is that paper thin dough that's flaky. That's often in baklava, if you've ever had baklava or spanakopita, and some other American canapes kind of snuck it in and stole it and whatever. If an apple turnover, I think is the closest that Americans have to phyllo dough, kind of a flaky dough. But what you actually have to do is you have to have a huge table, a couple of them, at least two, and you put the dough in the middle, and it's kind of a wet, stretchy dough, and you're actually putting it on top of a tablecloth that's lightly floured, and this cloth is folded in on itself, so that as you fold the tablecloth out, the dough stretches until eventually it is the length of the table, the length and width of the table, and it's paper thin, and then you cut off the excess, and then you start all over again. And you do this hundreds and hundreds of times to make these layers of dough. And that's not even baking it. That's just making the dough. Yep. So to do this, for them to go that far, holy cow. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And they could. Yeah. I don't know if they do. I wouldn't be surprised if they buy it in now.
They could, yeah.
Very easy to buy in. But if you had... In Minneapolis, they actually had a group of a Greek family that did it by scratch. And that's the only reason I know that is because I got to go and see. I got to watch them make it. I'm like, it's so incredible. And you have to be so patient. Because, of course, when we got back, guess what we got to do? Try to do the same thing. Yep. None of us had phyllo dough. Yeah. None of us had any phyllo dough that day. It was to demonstrate how difficult and how much concentration you have to do just this one part. And then there's all the other cooking that you have to do.
Because it's not just bread. Baklava's got a whole lot more that goes in with it.
You got to chop up the nuts, the honey. You have to get it all cooked. And then you have to do the laborious task of reversing it and layering all that back up.
So if you go to the Greek festival and buy any of the food, don't complain about how expensive it is, because everything they do is labor intensive.
And it's not expensive.
It's not.
Not in my mind.
No, I didn't think it was, but the last time I was there, I had some people complaining, and I'm like, you do realize that the person who made your baklava probably spent, a good 10 hours making baklava. Shut up and eat it.
I got a 6-spice, so there's 12 in there. And they were good size. They're about a little, I want to say about 3 inches. And they're big old fat rolls of baklava. And the whole thing was only $18. Yeah. And I guess for a pastry sense, you think, oh, yeah, that's more expensive. But again, these are expensive items that are in there. There's pistachios, walnuts, and, the phyllo dough. They don't skimp on anything. Yeah. So no, it was I didn't think anything was too expensive. I got a decent salad for $10.
Yeah, I did not think it was that expensive either. But you're standing in line and somebody behind you, I can't believe I'm paying this much for this. Then you know what? Go get your money back and leave. Go away.
Yeah, this is a not once in a lifetime. This is like a once a year thing. And again, for those who don't know, we don't have any Greek restaurants out here.
Yeah.
I don't know of any. I don't think.
No.
I'm trying to think maybe even in North Platte, the further you go east until you get to back to Omaha, where they started from, I don't know of any Greek restaurants.
Yeah, there aren't. And it's just a great fun day out. So just save up some money.
Yeah, they had the music playing in the background.
Yep.
Jason and I had a wonderful time, I think, for $60. So that's 30 between each of us.
Nice.
And we came out, well, I mean, my husband's always hungry, but I came out full.
Mm-hmm.
I was done. I didn't need any more food.
I'm just laughing. Let's not put my husband and your husband together because they'll spend like $500 and both complain that they're still hungry.
Well, and like I said, we were double dating, and our double dates was just as big as my husband. Just big guys, just big Nebraska guys. You know, they like to eat, and they do. And I'm just a bird. I like to peck at things. And
and you also have to take into consideration this is a fundraiser for their church.
It is.
As well.
All this money goes back to the church. So good, and good for them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's a fundraiser I can get behind.
Yeah.
Where you're giving back to the community culturally, their food. They answer any of your questions.
Yep.
Like I said, their main priest was from Bridgeport, so he was very, very communicative. He was actually there greeting people at the door. Mm-hmm. So you would run into him no matter what.
Yeah.
He would come and greet you.
Yeah.
So that was very cool. Very, very, very nice.
It's one festival I would highly recommend. So some of the things I liked the last time I went there was the calamari. And again, I'm going to say words wrong, so correct me,
I'll
Connor.
try. I'm not an expert.
If you can, if you've heard the word and I'm saying it wrong, just let me know. So, Lukonico.
Saying that, I think it's like Lukonico, yeah.
Okay, and that's Greek sausage.
I actually got this next one, Triropitas.
Tyro. Yeah, I want to say try as well, but the Y comes first. Yeah, Tyropitas.
Yeah.
And it's Greek cheese triangles.
Very, very good.
And I'm not supposed to have dairy, and I don't care. I'm eating it anyway. It's so good.
Those were addictive.
Fasolakia?
The Fasolakia, and yes, I think that's how I've
and
heard
it's a bean dish.
I didn't have that this year. They didn't have it.
Oh.
At least if they did, I didn't see it.
Okay. And then minestra, which is a rice gyros.
And even gyros, I was told by someone who was Greek, from Greece, that was pronounced gyros. So I don't know.
And I was in Greece in 2016.
Did they say gyros or gyros?
Gyros.
Gyros. Okay.
I can't do the little, it's not a hard R, rolling R, but it's like gyros. I can't do it quite right. But they also don't care because so many people call it gyro. They don't care. They know what you're talking about. They're not gatekeeping their food.
Well, it's like what, or maybe it's also just cultural language slang. Like pop, soda.
Yeah.
Talk about the same thing. Two different words mean the same thing.
Yeah. And you go to England and they're having fizzy drinks.
A fizzy drink? That's ridiculous.
What the hell's a fizzy drink?
Britain language makes everything so cute.
Yeah.
Fizzy drink.
I had to go and open the bonnet on my car. I'm like, the bonnet? What? Well, are we in 1850?
Put the baby in the preambulator. The what? The preambulator. Put her in there.
Put the groceries in the boot. I'm not wearing boots. What?
The
what? So my husband also enjoys the lamb and pork kebabs, pastizo, and most of the sweet desserts, including the homemade baklava. He really does like baklava.
I love baklava.
And
it's so good.
This year I bought some from the store. And it took him forever to eat it because he's like, it's okay. And I'm like, I don't have any other way to get proper baklava for you. So
you have to ask your co-host nicely to make it for you.
Yeah. Now that I know that he knows how to make Greek food, I might just be like, dude, take this last page of the script home. It has the food that I liked. Go make it.
Spanakopita and baklava were required in culinary school. You had to know how to make those. So those two I do know how to make.
And so I cheated up here with the Greek-style potatoes. Those were okay. I think they used vinegar, and I don't really care for vinegar.
It was soured with vinegar or something. But it almost tastes like it was balsamic vinegar.
And I don't like balsamic vinegar either.
Deep inhale.
I mean, they're okay. I remember when I went to my friend Garrett and Eva's wedding, we went to the dinner, and that's a Dutch thing. When I told people I was going to the dinner, you got invited to the dinner, and they're all freaking out, and I'm like, yeah, they're just having dinner. Well, who's going to be there? Their families and me and my husband. And then I learned that that's a big deal in Greece. So you normally go to the courthouse, have your wedding, and then there's a span of time where the family will have dinner, and it's just close family. So mother, father, siblings.
Did anybody spit on you?
And grandparents. No, nobody spit on me. And then...
I always wondered if that was real.
Yeah, no, nobody spit on me. And I went to the Greek Orthodox Church in Rotterdam, too, for the wedding part. But the dinner... was after the ceremony in the church, which was neat because Eva's parents don't speak English, and her grandma was there as well. And anybody in the world can just show up to the wedding part in Dutch court. You just show up and you can watch people get married. So we were there as well. So the judge did it in Dutch, and then she did it in English, and then Manos, who is Eva's brother, translated it into Greek. And so the judge made a big old deal about how cool this all was, and this doesn't happen that often. And then so we went and we had the dinner, and in the Netherlands, if you are invited to the dinner, that is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Your friends your friends don't get invited to that after the church wedding. If you have a church wedding, there's usually a thing that starts at 9:00 at night, and your coworkers and your friends and your extended relatives come, and that's where you all drink and get drunk.
That might have been a nicer thing for me to do for my wedding.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we completely just whatever at our wedding. I didn't know what to do. We were gay. It's like there's no formula for this.
Yeah. So we went and we ate at a Greek restaurant, and the only thing I absolutely refused to eat was the olives. I cannot stand olives, and I just couldn't do it. And Eva's grandma saw that I was, when the salads and stuff went around, I was like purposely making sure the olives were not on the spoon when I served myself. And she's like pointing at me, and she's like, pointing at me and pointing at the olives, and I just looked, because she didn't speak Greek or didn't speak English, and I don't speak Greek, and I just looked at her with my tongue out, and I was like, and she just laughed, and I'm like, I'm not gonna put something on my plate that I'm not gonna eat. And it was like a big old buffet style or family style. So it was a giant salad. So someone else is gonna eat the olives, I'm just gonna pick them out. And she thought it was hilarious. But all the food that I mentioned here was food that I thought was delicious. I'm not a huge fan of lamb. I'm not even a huge fan. I don't like lamb. And I just made Rogan Josh the other night for dinner for Paul. I don't have a problem cooking it and making it. I don't like the taste.
Did you introduce your husband to chislic yet? Traditional chislic?
No. We ain't eating none of that stuff.
It's actually it's from South Dakota, so just north of us. It isn't from Nebraska. It's from South Dakota, but it is lamb. It's fried little bits of lamb.
He might like that. I'll have to try that.
Some people like it. Some people don't.
So the Greeks with their Greek festival are continuing a tradition which began a century ago as a little simple church picnic with lively music, tasty food and treats, and fantastic conversation. You can get that still today.
You can.
You just got to do it indoors, so it's an indoor picnic. And
which you'll be thankful for.
Yes, yes.
Trust me.
So if you're in the area any year around the 15th, check out the festival, check out when it's going to be happening. And I know that this whole episode sounds like a plug for the festival, but
it's not.
It's not. This area has yeah. This area has a richer history because those men decided to stay so long ago and bring their culture here and blend it into this area, and we're all better off because they are here. And I don't mind. I have had people ask me, your money for that you buy that stuff is going to the church. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not. I've had people ask me if I'm an atheist, can I go in a church? And I'm like, it's not like I'm going to explode.
No. I always wonder that too. It's like you're not allowed to. I still love churches. I love the architecture. I love looking at them. They're beautiful.
Yes,
they're beautiful to go inside.
And this is just a community celebrating who they are, keeping part of their culture alive 100 years removed from where they came from. And it's awesome. And you can sit and talk with them and ask them questions. And how did you make this? And why do you use this instead of this? And and it's just a fantastic, fun time to get together and enjoy the day. And I hope that maybe next year I might be able to see the dancers. I'd have to figure it out schedule-wise because I don't know when they start, and I might end up having to go by myself because Paul works on Saturdays till almost 7.
Yeah.
So, he might not be able to go, or if we know ahead of time, maybe he'll get a day off. I don't know. But it's just this very cool cultural experience. Is that what you got out of it, Connor?
Oh, definitely. That's exactly what I got out of it. I wanted, for me, being the chef that I am, I came there for the food.
Right.
But I also, it was what I imagined it would be. It'd be a cultural event, not just a bunch of Greeks, throwing out street food.
Yeah.
That's not what it was about.
No.
It was a lot of, like I said, there was a lot of stuff as you came in about the history. Mm-hmm. A lot of it we just talked about was there. They had lots of info, lots of pictures about what they do. And they also tell you a lot of where that money goes that you're spending, which if these people who were mad about the food costs weren't paying attention to, you probably understand why. Because they'll tell you where this goes. And it does go to the church, but the church is a community for them. So it really goes back to their community.
Yes.
It pays for these kids' these dancers' costumes, pays for food, pays for equipment, pays for traveling expenses. Because like you said, a lot of people come from all over to do this. So yeah. And
the Prairie Winds doesn't give the space for free. You got to rent it out as well.
That's right. You don't.
So
they're not doing a favor to anybody. They need to make their money too. So yeah, that goes back into the cost of everything.
So
don't feel like you're being fleeced. I didn't feel like I was.
And I didn't either. I think it's fantastic that this thing that started just as let's have a picnic after church has become a huge community event, and it's just a great fun time.
It is. And they're not teetotalers, for those who are imagining it was like, well, they must not drink. They actually did have a beer garden. They served Greek beer, which one was specifically made for them locally, and then the other one is imported from Greece. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah. So that's our story for this week. Sorry you all got to miss it. I missed it this year too. I'm going to save up some money so next year I can just go with like a giant pile of cash and be like, I want to eat that and that and that and
yes,
that.
Yes.
But all the food that I mentioned today, I tried, and with the exception of the lamb, I didn't care for. And I tried it because I've had lamb a few different ways. Don't like it, don't like that one, don't like that one. But, sometimes you might find something that's cooked a certain way that you're like, oh, I like it cooked like that. I have not found that to be true with lamb, so I think it's just I don't like lamb.
I don't like lamb.
Whereas, and with chicken, I don't care for chicken legs or chicken wings, or I like chicken breast. I don't like any other part of the chicken. My husband does, so the chicken doesn't go to waste, but I just had to find the right part of the chicken that I like, and then we're good to go. So if you ever happen to be here somewhere around August 15th, just check and see if the church is having their event, the festival, the week before or the week after? Weekend before or after?
In 2026, August 15th falls on a Saturday.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So they'll have it probably.
And if they do it as the 100th anniversary, that's going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You need to remind me because I'm going to forget in like 4 months. So you need to remind me. Even if I end up going by myself, sitting by myself and eating, yeah.
Enjoy it.
And I'll buy some baklava and bring it home for my husband.
I hope to still be around, so I'll join you.
Okay. Like around living in the area or not dead?
Both, I hope.
Okay.
Because if I'm dead and still in the area, you should be worried.
All right, that's it for us this time. I'm Irene.
And I'm Connor.
And this is Storytelling on the Plains.